We have a lot to get to with our next guest, Mike Tanier. His Monday Morning Digest has already been posted, and there's a lot of good takes on there. This is the saddest thing I've ever read in my entire life, though. The Cleveland Browns are 0-1. It's their best start since 2004. Mike, that's just so pathetic.
Yeah, they say ties are like kissing your sister, but, the Browns haven't had any human contact whatsoever in many, many years. So maybe just a little bit of affection of any kind is worth it for them.
Hey, it all starts with family, right?
This is getting Game of Thrones creepy here, so let's move on.
Let's stay with that game for a second, though. If you're Le'Veon Bell, you're sitting there right now, and your team didn't win. They tied the Browns, but at the same time, the guy who was in your spot had a huge day. So where are you at right now?
Well, right after the game, he tweeted one of those weird little monocle emojis, one of those emojis, and it was about the tie. It was about the fact that it was a tie, and everyone's focusing on James Conner's great yardage and his 2 touchdowns, and we're all kind of pretending that he didn't fumble in the fourth quarter and how that game turned when Conner fumbled. So the worst thing about this for the Steelers and the Bell standoff is that both sides can walk away with a reason to be stubborn. The Steelers can say, look, Conner ran for 190 total yards, I think, with his receiving, so we're going to be fine. Bell can be like, hey, my replacement's fumbling against the Browns. You need to be better to win these games. Instead of both sides realizing, this is a potential disaster, they can walk away from this saying, hey, I'm right in this situation, and I'm going to hold this out until I get what I want.
Speaking of potential disasters, Aaron Rodgers carted off in the first half against the Bears. Khalil Mack has a half and a debut for the ages, and then Rodgers trots back out in the second half and ruins everything Chicago had going for them in the fourth quarter with 3 touchdown passes. What did you make of a heroic performance by Rodgers yesterday?
Oh, it was great going from, oh my God, Rodgers is lost for the year, which is what it looked like, and we have to sort of prepare for this and prepare to be without him, even as fans, to seeing that power up, level up, super scion performance that he ultimately put on there. And that's what Aaron Rodgers gives you. We can all say Tom Brady is the GOAT, the greatest of all time, and I think that's true. The greatest right now, minute to minute, day to day in the NFL is Aaron Rodgers, and he proved that again last night, where he can single-handedly change the entire course of a game and turn a 20-3 deficit into kind of an authoritative victory. And we just saw a great example of that in the second half last night.
Okay, but now as far as the Packers go, and I know after the game, Rodgers said, he'll be ready to go next week as well. But you saw yesterday, he could barely put any weight on that left leg. He still did what he did, and I don't want to take anything away from him. But if you're the Packers moving forward, you have to be going ahead with the mindset here that leg isn't going to get any better during the season.
You're going to have to make some tough decisions. At the same time, you have the Vikings next week. And it's that tough call where you say, well, what are we going to do? You got to put Deshaun Kaiser on there. Kaiser was kind of a mess. Khalil Mack ate his lunch for a quarter. You can't just do that. So I'm sure they're going to be looking at a lot of different options, but I think the option is going to come down to is what kind of brace can we use? What kind of quarter zone shot can we use that's ethical? And how can we keep Aaron Rodgers out there? Because you can't just turn around and say, oh, he was good enough for that comeback win here, but now we're going to turn around and possibly eat a loss against our most important rival in the division.
Mike Tanier, the lead NFL writer and analyst for Bleacher Report. Mike, for years I've been telling my buddies that Ryan Fitzpatrick is better than Drew Brees, and it finally paid off yesterday.
There you go. I guess you were waiting, 14 years for that? I told you so.
It took a long time.
If we know anything about Ryan Fitzpatrick is that he is good for 1 or 2 oh my God games per year, and then you start to believe in him, and then you realize what he is. He's a guy in his late 30s who's a journeyman who, when things break right, and when he has really great receivers, and the Buccaneers really do have great receivers, can turn around and make things happen. That's what he did a couple of years ago with the Jets when Brandon Marshall was in his prime and Decker and those other guys. That's what he did yesterday. I have no faith or belief in the Buccaneers whatsoever. The Saints are the team that worries me because when their defense starts leaving guys open and tripping over their own feet and things like that, that's where the Saints go from the Super Bowl contender they're supposed to be down to this team that goes 8-8 or 7-9 and ruins another season of Drew Brees' career.
47-3, the Ravens beat the Bills yesterday. Peterman, the quarterback for the Bills, his quarterback passer rating was 0.0. His coach after the game said he needs to look at the tape before figuring out how Peterman played. That doesn't add up, does it?
The Bills are a mess. Nathan Peterman's not a good quarterback by any stretch of the imagination. He has never gone on the field in a good situation where he's had any help either. And that's what takes a guy who's just sort of your run-of-the-mill, ordinary, bad quarterback and turns him into a guy whose quarterback rating is like in the 20s. His quarterback rating is so young it can barely buy a beer. And it's just a bad organization top to bottom. I'm anticipating that Josh Allen is going to get the start next week. My question is, if Josh Allen wasn't ready last week, how is he ready this week? And what are the rest of the Bills doing? What is that offensive line? What is that receiving core? And what is that coaching staff doing to make this a good environment for any quarterback, whether it's Peterman, Allen, or whoever's behind door number 3?
All right, before we let you go, Andrew Luck loses 34-23 in his first start since 2016, but how do you think he looked?
I didn't get a great look at him, but overall it was solid enough. I know there was a first quarter interception. It was pretty ugly. He came around later on. Another example of a team that doesn't surround their quarterback with the best talent. They had some guys fumbling out there. They let that game get away from them and let the Bengals kind of take it to them in the fourth quarter. I think Luck will be fine. The question is, how will the rest of the Colts be?
Okay, what about Mahomes? He had 4 touchdown passes. He was 15 of 27 for 256 yards. I know people are losing their mind right now because he looked pretty good yesterday. Would you be buying stock of Mahomes right now, or do you want to see a couple more weeks?
Absolutely, because I loved what I saw from him. I loved the arm. I loved some of the decisions. I loved the athleticism. But I'm going to flip something I've said a couple of times in this conversation. Is like the environment around Peterman is terrible. The environment around Fitzpatrick was really good. The environment around Mahomes is great. And give me a solid quarterback who also has Tyreek Hill, who's going to take little short passes and go to the house with him. And give me Hunt at running back, where he's going to go out there and he's going to generate yards, whether on screen passes or getting the ball. And then that good quarterback can be made great by the scheme and by his supporting cast.
Mike, as always, buddy, appreciate the insight. We'll chat next Monday.
Always a pleasure. Take care and enjoy the week.